Not perfect. Welcome, everybody to this week's podcast. And I am so delighted to have with me today Sue Thomas, who has been a bit of a mentor, bit of a teacher, bit of an inspiring person in my life, who introduced me to a company called Synergy, which is who I now use for my supplements. We're going to sort of talk more about that. But I've asked Sue to come on and talk to us because she is a nutritional expert. She is incredibly knowledgeable in all things sugar cravings, energy lows. The I'm going to let Sue introduce herself in just a second, but we don't really have a huge plan, as always, as to where this conversation is going to go. We're just going to go with what feels most natural, but it's going to be incredibly valuable to you. So, Sue, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Thank you for having me, Nikki. I really appreciate it. So, yes, I am Sue Thomas and I am the sugar-free coach. But I've been in the wellness industry for 23 years now, which is slightly frightening when I say that. I used to be a personal trainer before I became a nutritional therapist. And I kind of want to take you back, first of all, to 2009,
Yep.
where I started my journey, basically. So I've qualified as a personal trainer in 2000 2002, 2001, can't remember now. Anyway, but yeah. And I had a very busy personal training clinic. I've always been that person that when I worked with my clients, I always wanted to train. I made sure that I trained with them to kind of keep them going.
Yeah.
So I had a very, very busy personal training clinic, and I had 3 children over the course of from 2002 to 2009. And in 2009, I got a knee infection that basically I ended up on 25 days of antibiotics for, which was
Mm.
pretty nasty, really. And
Yeah.
fast forward 2 to 3 years, and I was really struggling with all elements of my health. My gut health was all over the place. Things were just passing through me. I was tired all the time. I was still really busy in the clinic, but I was having to take a sleep in the afternoon so that I could train my clients in the evening. I wasn't present for the kids. I wasn't present for my clients. And I certainly wasn't walking the talk either, because I was grabbing stuff to try and keep me energized through the course of the afternoon and into the evening. So eating all the wrong things, eating sugar, which I thought was the thing that was going to give me energy, probably drinking too much coffee, that kind of thing. And I got to 2013 and I thought, I can't do this anymore. This has to stop. I've got to make some changes. So I actually went to see a nutritional therapist myself. And she was like, well, first thing we've got to do is get your gut health sorted. And once we get your gut health, your blood sugar's balanced. So I went on this journey of healing my gut health and then starting to balance my blood sugars. And one of the things I really remember her saying to me was, that sandwich that you're having at lunchtime, stop having that and just take all the stuff out inside that you've got inside of it and turn it into a massive salad with tons of protein on it. I was like, how can I not have a sandwich at lunchtime?
Yeah.
How am I never going to have any energy in the afternoon? But I was blown away by how much more energy I had by removing that bread at lunchtime. So it's like, okay, I need to explore this a little bit more. I really want to understand this in a lot more detail. So I decided to qualify as a nutritional therapist, which I did in 2016. And at the same time as qualifying as a nutritional therapist, I came across Synergy, who had the most incredible intestinal reset program. And because I'd had a history of my intestines being disrupted by all those antibiotics back in 2009, I was like, I really need to try this out. I really want to see what this is like. So I went through their 28-day program. Again, was blown away by the results that I got from it. And I was like, this is the supplement company that I'm going to use, because I really felt that I could bring a lot into the work that I was doing with my clients, helping them to reset their microbiome, helping them to reset their intestine. So that was really the start of me. I qualified as a nutritional therapist in 2016. And at the time, I was just balancing personal training and nutrition. I was bringing the two together. And then gradually more and more, not helped by my husband saying, are you still going to be running around fields with mums and their babies in their buggies, running circus classes when you're 50? And I was like, maybe I'm not. Maybe I should have a think about this. So decided that by the time I was 50, I would have been completely focused on nutrition, which is what I did. And then when we went through lockdown, really honed down on sugar and gut health, really, because sugar feeds poor gut health. Poor gut health feeds sugar cravings. The two things are so intrinsically linked that in order to get any sugar cravings under control from a physical point of view, You need to have your intestine working properly, because yeast in your intestine is fed by sugar. And in order to have cravings from a mental perspective under control, you need to have your intestine working properly, because there is a direct link between the intestine and the brain. If your intestine is full of yeast, it's going to be feeding the thoughts in your brain and getting you to crave sugar. So the two things really go hand in hand. And so really since lockdown, I've just been really homing in on sugar, helping women to, particularly women, but men as well, but it does tend to be women who struggle more because of hormone imbalances and all that kind of thing. But just really helping women to understand that they can take control of their sugar cravings if they really focus on their gut health and really focus on getting their blood sugars balanced. So essentially the journey that I went on after I'd seen the nutritional therapist back in 2013.
Yeah. It is crazy, isn't it? How we take antibiotics to heal an infection,
Yeah,
but because they kill all the bacteria, it then just really messes up our gut biome.
yeah,
And I think I read it in Dr. Michael Mosley's The Clever Guts Diet book that he
mm.
wrote. I don't know if you've ever read that.
I haven't read it, but I'm aware of it. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure it's in his book that he said that in our stomach we have the same amount of brain cells that a cat has in their head. And you
yeah,
think the equivalent of. So you
mm.
think, well, cats are kind of intelligent animals, and we've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
that amount of brain cells in our stomach. That
yeah,
whole, gut instinct, that whole, like, you can quite understand how we need to be looking after our gut
yeah.
health and
Well, we have three brains, don't we? We have our brain, we have our heart
yeah,
brain, and we have our gut brain. And
yeah,
if we connect into our heart brain through our emotions, and our logic is through our brain, but it's that instinct, that feeling in your stomach, that your intestine, that if you know something is not right, you really need to tune into it and listen to it. And that is
yeah,
that link, the vagus nerve between the intestine and the brain,
yeah,
communicating. And anything going on in your intestine is going to come out in your emotions. So if your intestine is slow and sluggish and toxic, that's how you will come out. Your emotions will appear. You'll always struggle to get yourself out of a low mood. You'll always struggle to motivate yourself. If your intestine is working properly, I like to think of it as like um, a flower bed. You should have all these different, like a cottage garden, and it's got all
yeah,
these different flowers. Well, that's what your intestine should look like in terms of the bacteria. It should have all these different species that are growing up,
yeah,
and it's really colourful. And in 21st century life, our gut tends to be more. It tends to be a flatter range of bacteria because of all the antibiotics that we've had over the years through no fault of our own. And I agree with you, Telly. We need antibiotics. I'm
yeah,
not dismissing antibiotics by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that we need to understand what we have to do in order to get our gut microbiome working again
yeah.
after we've taken them.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important.
Good.
And I think when I first discovered you and Synergy, I was kind of a bit of a mindset that no, I just eat wholesome foods and that I can get everything I need from my food. And I do consider myself to have a pretty healthy diet, especially being celiac. I don't have all the extras. I never got into the habit of all the extra treats that aren't actually treats. But what fascinated me was when you said um, the way that our food is manufactured now and the over farming that we've done to the ground, you might be having wholesome vegetables, but they're nowhere near as nutrient rich as what they would have been 50, 60 years ago.
No, no, I will give you a really good example. The farmer just down the road from us has got a massive field, and
Yeah,
he has had three crops from that field this year. Three crops. So he had a spring greens crop, he had spring onions crop, and
yeah,
then he's got cabbages in there now. And at no point has he put any nutrients back into the soil. So
yeah,
every time that crop, and I understand totally from a farmer's point of view, they
yeah, yeah,
make money and they're being squeezed by the supermarkets. So he
yeah,
knows that he's got to get that field working as much as possible for him to bring in as many crops as possible.
yeah,
But he hasn't got the time in the meantime, between times, to be nourishing the soil. He hasn't got time to put stuff back into the soil to get the nutrients back in there. So when those cabbages are growing up, there's very little nutrient in the soil.
yeah,
So therefore, there's very little nutrient in the cabbage. I think it's something like one bowl of spinach that you would have eaten back in 1960, I think it was, if spinach was even a thing then. But it
yeah.
was like back in the 1970s, you had a bowl of spinach then, you now have to eat 44 bowls of spinach to get the same nutrient content. So
Gosh.
even though we think
Yeah.
we're eating healthily, if you've got symptoms coming to the surface, like you can't really get your menopause symptoms under control, or you're
Yeah.
putting on a bit of weight, or you just feel tired all the time and you don't seem to have that energy, but I'm eating healthily, it's
Mm.
simply because you're just not getting the nutrition from the food that
Yeah.
you're eating these days from the supermarket. So that's why I encourage all of my clients not to be frightened of supplementation, to kind
Yeah.
of go, if you're going to supplement with a good supplement, because there's a lot of crap out there.
Yeah.
But if you're going to supplement with a good supplement that works for your body. But don't be frightened of it, because we do need to, particularly things like magnesium. We're so deficient in magnesium, and magnesium is really important for helping a whole nervous system to calm down. If you're getting cramps, if you're getting restless legs, if you can't sleep at night, that's all a sign that you're magnesium deficient. So magnesium, really important for hormone balance, really
Yeah.
important for liver function, for blood sugar balance. We're all magnesium deficient. So I truly believe everybody should be supplementing with a decent magnesium. This time of year we should start. Let's say this time of year, when we're recording this, it's September.
Yes.
um,
Yeah. It would be
we're
going out around October.
yeah, we're heading into that time of year where we're not getting much sun. We haven't
Yeah.
done too badly this year because we have had quite a lot of sun, but most summers, if it's very cloudy, we don't get the store of vitamin D that we need to see us through the
Yeah.
winter. There's so many things that we think, oh, it's fine, I'll be okay. But actually, if you've got symptoms coming to the surface, like tiredness that you can't really explain, a bit of weight gain, your hormones are a bit all over the place, maybe your skin's not quite as bright as it used to be, or your hair started to fall out a little bit, that's all your body saying to you, I need a bit more nutrients,
Yeah.
I need more support than I'm currently getting from the food that you're eating. And
Yeah.
therefore, as I say, don't be frightened to supplement.
Yeah.
Obviously always make sure you're buying a good quality one, and you're maybe even having a conversation with someone who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's really important to make sure you're just plugging those gaps in your diet to mean that you
Yeah.
can have a full and vibrant life, basically.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And I think that's what's so brilliant about Synergy is that they are so hot on their quality, aren't
Mm,
they?
mm,
So actually when they put, because the supplement industry isn't regulated, is it? So
no.
when they do put a product out, you know that they have tested it and it does what they say it's going to do.
Yeah, exactly. And at the minute, we have a really great greens product, which is a really good base level product for someone who says, "Well, I know I need to supplement, but I don't know what to supplement with."
Yeah.
So that greens product has got lots of fiber in it that supports gut health. It's got some magnesium in it. It's got some herbs in it, adaptogenic herbs in it, which will help with hormone balance and mood. There's lots of it's a really synergistic, and sorry to use that word
Yeah.
given the brand is synergy, but it's
Yeah.
been designed exactly like that, to kind of complement all those things, that base level of nutrition that we're not getting on a day-to-day basis. It's all in there, so it's all in one drink that you can just take and
Yeah.
really feel the benefits from, actually really quite quickly as well.
Yeah.
And fiber is really good for blood sugar balance too, so it'll really help with cravings and stuff like that too.
Yeah. I'm going to make a note of the products that we comment on because I will put a link to each of the
Yeah,
products
yeah,
in the
yeah.
show notes.
So
Um,
that one is our Pro 360 greens.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, I my non-negotiables are magnesium.
Mhm.
I really notice if I don't take my magnesium, the dread or the anxiety really starts to build up. Within a
Yeah.
couple of days, I'm like, why am I feeling more anxious? And that
Mm.
only started, I've not really been a dread, or I call it dread, but some people might call it anxiety. That started with my perimenopause. I've never been an anxious person. I never woke up with anxiety. I may not have maybe wanted to go to work a couple of mornings, but never this feeling of like, oh. And magnesium really enabled that to lower.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm an expert in mind and emotional management, but
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in the physical. And it is the mind, body, and then spirit. So when we say like brain, heart, and gut, I'm like, the brain is what I'm an expert in. That's
Yeah.
the mind. Then you've got the body, which is the gut and that physical health. And then the spirit, I
Yeah.
think it probably represents the heart. And again, I'm not an
Yeah.
expert on that, but um getting there and opening myself up to it. But
Yeah.
um, it's just so magnesium is my non-negotiable. And then because my immune system is one of my lower systems, I take the immune booster every
Yeah,
evening, and I
yeah,
really love that.
mm,
But my favorite product, because I think it gives you an instant hit,
yeah. I know what you're going to say.
is E9.
Yeah, yeah. Mine
I
too.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it so much. I think
yeah,
everybody needs to be drinking E9, even if you don't like the taste.
yeah,
Drink it because I didn't like the taste to begin with, but I love the taste now
yeah.
because of how it makes me feel.
Mm.
Um, and I think for that kind of instant, it's like it's well, I'll let you describe E9 because you'll do it probably more justice than I will.
Well, E9 is our energy drink, which comes in a sachet, and you mix it with between 500 and about 1,000 milliliters of water. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
But it's got two South American Indian herbs in it, guarana seed and yerba mate, both of which were used by tribesmen to give them energy to run from one tribe to the next. So they're quite historic in their kind of sourcing, if you like.
Mm.
Um, the guarana seed has got a little bit of naturally occurring caffeine in it, which is what again gives you a little bit of a lift. Yerba mate is really great for headaches, and one of the things I really find with E9 is if I've got clients that struggle with migraines, we'll use the E9 to get rid of a migraine rather than taking a painkiller kind of thing.
Brilliant.
But what it does is it just encourages your body to release its own energy. So it's got a lot of B vitamins in it. So it metabolizes your own energy for about 5 hours. It's got a little bit of L-arginine in it, which is an amino acid that helps to open up the cardiovascular system so you can move the oxygen around your body more efficiently, the B vitamins to give you the energy, the yerba mate, the green tea, the guarana seed, all just naturally lifting your energy and giving you a metabolic boost, basically. And it will give you about 5 hours of natural energy. It's great for sport, for people wanting to play sport, but also if you're just using it through the day to give you that sharpness and that alertness, and
Yeah.
just keep you really consistent
Yeah.
in terms of energy level throughout the day. Great way to get rid of the afternoon slump. It's only got 12 calories in it. It's got no sugar in it. It's just a
Yeah.
really lovely natural energy drink that you can use. I wouldn't be suggesting you take it at 8 o'clock at night unless you want to keep going till 4 in the morning. But
Yeah.
using it throughout the day and into the evening, into the early evening,
Yeah.
you can really find your energy level really lifting and being a lot more productive
Yeah.
than perhaps you might have been if you came in from work, for example, and just sort of slumped on the sofa.
Yeah. And what I notice as well, whereas if I rely on coffee and caffeine, the caffeine in coffee, after a couple of days, that will affect my sleep
Yeah,
quality. This
yeah,
doesn't. Like I pretty much if I'm having a relaxing day at the weekend, I won't have it if I want to really chill. But most days, especially Monday to Friday, and it does not affect my quality of sleep at all, which is
no,
why I love it so much because
yeah.
it just makes you feel so incredible.
Yeah, it just gives you this real lift and just means that you can just be really super focused and super productive throughout the course of the day.
Yeah.
It's a great addition for anyone that struggles with tiredness and then is finding themselves, you know what tiredness is like. It can be a bit debilitating, can't it? And if
Yeah.
you then can't find just the motivation to maybe to go out and exercise or can't be bothered to cook properly in the evening because you're too tired, then that's a sort of self-perpetuating cycle. Whereas E9, you can just use that as a really simple solution to break that cycle to mean that you've got that bit more energy when you come in. You could go for a walk, maybe you could, you've got more inclination to cook properly, and
Yeah.
that just feeds the body and allows the body, allows you to function more efficiently, and it just makes you more productive
Yeah.
in whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Which I think is what most working women want.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just want to have
absolutely they
a
do.
little bit more energy, please.
Oh,
I can help you with the mind. Sue can help you with
yeah,
the nutrition aspect
yeah.
of it, and you can help yourself by having that
Mm,
drink. I think
mm, yeah.
I love it so
And
much.
there's no nasties in it, not like them. And there's a lot of, if you're using, for example, a Diet Coke to give you the
Yeah,
energy, you're not getting any benefit from that at all.
yeah,
So an E9 is has got the B vitamins and everything in it as well. That's much more beneficial to the body, and it's not putting any chemicals into your body. It's a
yeah,
herbal drink basically. It's much more natural, and it tastes really nice too. I really
yeah.
like
Yeah, I do
it.
now. I did it when I first
Yeah,
started. I like fresh coconut because it tastes of pina colada.
yeah,
Um, I didn't like it, but I because it makes me feel so incredible. I really enjoy it now. It's lovely.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I really like it with ice. If I make it really nice and cold, it tastes lovely to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So if someone was listening and they were like just before we started, you were saying about your clients' pain points. I wonder if it's worth just kind of going through what you see most often, so that if one of our listeners are going, "Oh yeah, I suffer with that. Oh yeah, that's
Mhm.
me," or "Oh yeah, that's me," how they can then, get in touch with us to find out more information. What
Yeah.
would you say that list would be?
So most of my clients will be probably 40 plus and things are happening to their body and they're not that it's frightening them basically. They might be putting on a bit of weight, but they're not doing anything different. They're still
Yeah,
eating healthily or they're trying to eat healthily. The scales don't seem to budge. They'll be restricting calories and stuff, and that still doesn't make any difference. The scales are still not budging. Their clothes are not fitting them the way they used to fit. So that's affecting their self esteem. It's affecting their self confidence. They're finding themselves withdrawing a little bit, not perhaps going out on social occasions in the same way as they used to. Maybe they've got a bit of brain fog. They're wondering if there's something wrong with them. Maybe they've been to the doctors and doctor said, no, your bloods are all right. You're okay. It's just your age.
yeah,
And they're just not feeling how they used to feel. And I
mm,
really want to show women that it isn't your age, that it is what we are now exposed to on a day-to-day basis in terms of our food quality, in terms of the toxins we're exposed to. There's so many things that are affecting, particularly women's health on a day-to-day basis. And that's causing internal stress. And that internal stress comes out as inflammation. And when we're stressed internally, we tend to reach for more sugary things. We tend for looking for stimulants, things to pick us up, and often that involves sugar. And that stress internally makes dealing with stress externally even harder. So we've got this push pull thing going on where we're feeling not good enough, but then we're feeling like we've got to do everything for everyone and we can't do it anymore. And there's so many things
mm,
going on and we're just knackered all the time. And I want to show women that that isn't how it is, and it doesn't have to be like
yeah,
that. And that
yeah,
doctor that says, oh, it's just your age, doesn't know what they're talking about, because actually you are absolutely entitled to live a full and vibrant life, in my opinion.
yes,
You'll be able to move around very, very, very easily when you're in your 80s, and shouldn't be settling for that kind of groaning when you sit down on the sofa, or stiff joints and all that kind of things in your 50s or 60s, and sometimes
yeah,
even in your 40s as well. And you can absolutely take back control. You absolutely can. You just need to know how to do it. But because the food industry has basically led us a merry dance and telling us that the way to lose weight is to restrict calories, and that that just eat this bar and that'll keep you satisfied and all that kind of thing, when all it does is spike your blood sugars. And
yeah,
there's so many missed messages out there that I really want to show women that all of that is rubbish. It is
yeah,
absolutely rubbish. And once you understand, particularly as you go through your 40s and 50s, you'll become more sensitive to insulin. And so we find ourselves eating a lot more sugar than ever before in order to try and give us the energy, because our cells become, you kind of like, they basically shut down to insulin. And
yeah,
what we're ending up doing is trying to eat more sugar to push energy into our cells, or sorry, push sugar into our cells for energy production. The excess sugar is then being stored as fat, and we're kind of making changes that maybe we don't even realize we're making, because we feel tired all the time, because we're not functioning at our best, and because we're feeling more and more self-conscious about ourselves. And so I want to show women that it doesn't have to be like that, that you can take back control. And when you understand what to eat to nourish your body, basically your biology changes when you head into your 40s and 50s, as you go through menopause, and all the things we used to do in our 20s and 30s no longer work, and we
yeah,
have to do it a little bit differently. And in doing it differently, you can regain your self-confidence, you can lose weight, you can feel fabulous in your clothes again. All of these things are absolutely possible. We shouldn't have to see it as a kind of like, that's it, I'm over the hill now because I'm over 50. Sort that for game of soldiers.
I know.
I'm
That's
gonna be
really shit.
I'm gonna be 60 in 4 years' time, and there's
Yeah,
absolutely no way I'm slowing down. No
yeah,
way at all. I want to live. I want to make sure that the last however many years of my life I've got left, I am living them to the max.
yeah,
And
yeah,
everybody's entitled to be able to do that. We shouldn't be
yeah,
settling for these messages of, it's your age. Oh well, it's just how it is. You just have to accept
yeah.
it. No, you don't have to
Bullshit.
accept it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
that's
take
cool bullshit.
control. Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
I had a realization as well. So I'm 48. I was 48 this year. And I've got this image of like Johnny, my husband, and I, and we're kind of in our late 80s, and we're getting a bit wobbly, but we're still walking down. We probably our little border
Yeah,
terriers running around, and we're walking down to the beach to have a swim in the sea.
yeah,
Very able, very
yeah,
able.
yeah.
And then I had the realization, I was like, well, shit, Nikki, you've got to start now.
You
What are
have.
we doing
Have to do
that
something
at 80?
about it now. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Everything I do now in my 50s and well, in my 40s and my 50s, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because I want to look good. I'm doing it because I don't want my kids to have to look after me when I'm in my 80s.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
doing it because I love and respect them, and I want to make sure that
yeah,
they're not being burdened with this person that can't look after themselves, basically.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so everything I'm doing, yes, I want to see my grandchildren. Yes, I want to make sure that I'm there when my girls get married, all that kind of thing. Those
yeah,
things are drivers for me every single day, but equally as much, I don't want them to have to feel responsible for me when
yeah,
I'm in my 80s. I still want to be active and able to do everything without
yeah.
needing to rely on anyone.
Yeah, yeah. And it's whatever is compelling for the individual, isn't it? I think when I coach some people and they talk about weight loss, and I'm like, well, why do you want to do it? Oh, I just want to be healthy. I'm like, no, that's not going to do it. Why do you want to be healthy? And you dig down, and they're like, I just want to be able to play with my grandkids. And
Yeah,
all of a sudden, that emotional connection that compelling reason is actually what starts us
yeah,
taking
yeah,
action
yeah.
into
And
moving.
unfortunately, in 21st century life, it's all about aesthetic. So
Yeah,
not an emotional attachment to it anymore. So and then we feel like we failed. If we can't
yeah,
do it, we feel like we failed and we beat ourselves up and then this cycle starts again. Whereas if you can really kind of, like you say, dig down and identify the emotional reason that you're doing something, it's they talk about your why, don't they? And that's
yes,
the thing that keeps you moving forward and keeps you. And don't get me wrong, I call myself a sugar-free coach. I'm not 100% sugar-free. I still have a bit of sugar in my diet. I'm not
yeah,
a total bore. I can enjoy a piece of chocolate cake on my kids' birthdays and stuff like that.
yeah.
But it's just about knowing how to keep that under control so that I've
Mm.
got maximum energy throughout the day, so that I'm making all the right choices to nourish my body and keep my weight under control and feel really good in my clothes.
Mm.
But that's what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. But what I'm doing in the long term is doing this because I don't want my kids to have to look after me when I'm
Yeah,
in my 80s.
yeah.
I know my kids are going to be going, oh, for God's sake, Mum, will you please die? We just want the inheritance.
You're like 110. It's time already. Brilliant. I love that so much. And what was fascinating to me is how you touched on this around like sugar being a treat and alcohol, like that need to relax at the end of the day and using alcohol to do it. Um, I've witnessed recently a family member. They were really poorly. They had a lot of medication and they're fortunately now out the other side. But they were saying how over that period they were like, oh, well, we've just, we got more cakes in and we got more biscuits in because we just needed that treat and that lift. And in my head, I'm like, your body's going through enough. It doesn't need more poison put into it. But we are so conditioned by society to think that sugar and alcohol is a treat. And you're like,
Yeah.
it's really not.
I think a lot of it comes back from kind of wartime when there wasn't that much sugar around. And so if
Yes.
you did, if you did as a kid, you fell over and grazed your knee, you got a
Yeah.
sweet to make you feel better. Or you did something really good, you got a treat, a sweet treat to congratulate you. And I think a lot of that is just grown and grown and grown in our society. And I think as we have moved into this era of ultra processed food, where
Yeah.
there is a lot of food with a lot of added sugar, we've become more and more reliant on sugar without even realizing it,
Yeah.
so our blood sugars are out of balance without even realizing it because of the food that we're eating. We think, oh, we're eating relatively healthy, but if there's
Mm.
added sugar in things, it's gonna disrupt your blood sugar balance. And so it's like that, when you have that glass of wine, in order to feel the same effects the next time, you've got to drink a bit more, and then you've got to have a
Yeah.
bit more and a bit more. And that's what happens with sugar. You've got to have a bit more to give you the energy and a bit more to give you the energy. And so we think we've associated sugar with being something that in wartime wasn't available and was a treat, but we've not moved away from that. Now it's
Yeah.
much more freely available. We still see it as a treat, when actually all it's doing now is like you say, it's a poison. It's causing so much disruption in the body that's actually causing us, it's pushing us into disease more than ever before, when we don't often realize it, because it's a preservative. It's added to everything in order to give things a long shelf life. It's the only person that's benefiting from that is the food, the shareholders of these large food corporations.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it? And how, like, even marketing, like, I know when I was younger, when I was having this conversation with Johnny, it's like, I can remember the adverts, and it was like, a Mars a day helps you work, rest, and
Yeah,
play. And you're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
so we've been conditioned to believe that
totally.
that
Yeah.
that chocolate bar is what's going to enhance our life, but it really does the opposite.
It absolutely does. And actually, you know what? A Mars a day, if it was just one Mars every now and again, it
Yes.
wouldn't be so bad. But if
No.
it's every day and sometimes
Yeah.
twice a day, and the
Yeah.
other things that are added in around it, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, like you're having the flavored yogurts that have sugar in, and you think they're low fat, and you think they're healthy, and then they're
Yeah,
actually not. And then
yeah.
the
And
squash, the oh yeah, and you're
low
adding
sugar
all
squash, or the
yeah,
diet Coke, the diet drinks and all that kind of
yeah,
thing, all of those things just, just massively unbalancing your insulin levels and leading you to crave more sugar, sometimes without even realizing it.
yeah, yeah. It is crazy, isn't it?
Mm,
It
mm.
really is. So if you were going to say to somebody one, like, really kind of above anything else, one really vital tip. I could have given you preparation for this question at the time, but I didn't know I was going to ask it until that point. What do you think you would tell them?
The first place always to start with your health is your gut microbiome.
Yeah,
Okay, you won't get on top of your gut, your sugar cravings, if your gut microbiome is full of yeast,
yeah,
basically. So that would always be the first place that I would recommend someone started. But I also recognize that sometimes that isn't possible for some people, and so you can start with some really simple actions that will, and this is one of the things I really work very hard with my clients on, to keep it super simple. I don't
yeah,
want to overwhelm people, so I'll give them 2 or 3 things that they will start with, and that might just be something super simple, like, let's drink another 500 mils of water today than we drank yesterday.
yeah,
Let's move another 500 steps today than you moved yesterday. And let's try not to have any snacks between breakfast and lunch, because oftentimes it's the snacking that is part of the problem when it comes to unbalanced blood sugars.
yeah,
Let's start with those 3 simple things. Let's play around with your breakfast. So your breakfast is sufficient enough to get you from breakfast time to lunchtime. And if it's not getting you from breakfast time to lunchtime, then something in it is unbalancing your blood sugar. So if you're hungry by
yeah,
10:30, your blood sugars are unbalanced. So let's play around with your breakfast, get a bit more protein in there, get a bit more colors in there, make sure that it's working for you, maybe make it savory rather than sweet, that kind of thing. But we want your breakfast to take you from breakfast to lunchtime without needing to snack. That would be the first place I'd start. Then I would be encouraging them to think, let's get 500 mils more water in today than we got in yesterday. Build
yeah,
that up over the course of a couple of weeks until we get to 2 liters, because most people are dehydrated, and that's no
yeah,
good for your gut health either. And then let's start moving your body a little bit more. So today, let's start with 500 steps. If your average step count is 1,500, let's go for 2,000 steps today, and do that consistently for 3 or 4 days. And then once you feel consistent with 2,000 steps, let's move it up to 2,500, and let's build it up gradually. Because I get it, sometimes if you're busy working in an office and you drive to work and you're sitting at your desk all day, there isn't enough time to move your body. To go from 1,500 steps to 10,000 steps would just be a complete overwhelm. So
yeah,
let's start somewhere and go, let's just start gradually moving your body. Maybe it is that you walk up and down the office twice between calls, between
yeah,
clients, or what have you. Maybe it is that you just go outside and walk around the front foyer area for 5 minutes or what have you. It doesn't have to be a 15-20 minute walk. It can just be
yeah,
something really simple. But let's
yeah,
start building, and the more you build that movement in, the more you'll start to feel more energized and feel more inclined to do it. And it just feeds the more movement you have, the more it feeds your inclination to eat properly, the more
yeah.
it feeds your inclination to drink more water and all that kind of thing. That all these things are inextricably linked.
Yeah. And what what I've noticed, Sue, in my own, and this isn't just in what I eat or my exercise, but it's in my business as well. I kind of know what I need to do, and that primitive, shitty part of my brain talks me out of it. And then I feel a bit let down with myself because I haven't done what I know I need to do. Like I
Mm,
didn't go for the walk, or, I had the sugar when I didn't really need it, or I didn't do that business task when that may have moved the business forward. But when I actually go, do you know what? I'm not taking any notice of that brain. I'm going to start small and I'm going to build up. And I start to do things that I know intuitively I need to be doing. It feels really good. It
yeah,
feels really good to actually start taking action towards where you want to be,
yeah,
regardless of how small it is.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then your
exactly.
relationship with yourself improves, which
Yeah,
helps everything.
yeah,
And so I've really noticed that in my own kind of habits, that when I don't follow them, I feel let down and that affects my internal
mm,
relationship. But when I do them, I just feel so much better,
yeah,
regardless
yeah,
of the outcome, like
yeah,
whether I
yeah,
lose weight or whether it doesn't matter.
yeah,
In that
yeah.
moment, I'm like, I did it.
Yeah, I feel proud of myself. I'm
Yeah.
glad I did it. Yeah. And also I think as well, when you are when you're nourishing yourself properly, or when you're eating properly and staying hydrated, you're much more productive if you're
Yeah.
when you're working. So you will get a lot more done. So 9 times out of 10, if we're at a desk all day and we feel really stressed and there's loads of stuff going on, dealing with that stress and dealing with that stuff is harder
Yeah.
when your body is not nourished properly. If you nourish your body properly, you're more focused, you've got more mental clarity, you'll get through tasks much quicker. So
Yes.
therefore, you'll have more time to be able to make food that nourishes your body. So it
Yeah.
is this self-perpetuating cycle. And sometimes it is going back to E9. It's about breaking that cycle, using something like E9 to break that cycle to mean that you've got a bit more energy, and then you are inclined to move a little bit more, to cook something from fresh, that kind of thing, rather than just feeling like, oh, I'm too tired, come in, fall on the sofa, I'll put a microwave meal in, and then the
Yeah.
cycle repeats tomorrow, and you're never moving more than about 1,500 steps, and never drinking enough water to move all the way through your intestine and to feel like you've got mental clarity. Because I mean,
Yeah.
water really does give you mental clarity as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just these simple things that you can do. But like you say, you do those and you start to feel much better, and you start to feel really proud of yourself. And that leads to the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah.
So when anyone is starting any kind of like change to their health, start really simply. Don't go
Yeah.
in with this, I'm going to make a change to my health in 2 days kind of thing, because it's not going to happen. You'll set yourself up for failure. Let's just
Yeah.
start with, what are the three simple things I can do each day that are going to move my health along just
Yeah.
in a tiny way? And
Yeah.
don't expect too much. But then once you've got into a habit of doing that, then you can
Yeah.
move, you can step it up again. And you can just have these sort of habit stacking activities that
Yeah.
start to move your health in the right direction.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so
Mm.
good. So, is there anything, Sue, that we haven't talked about that you think is relevant?
Well, anyone can go onto my website, thesugarfreecoach.com, and download loads of freebies. I've got loads of freebies on there. I've got something on there for menopause. I've got a webinar on there if you're struggling with weight management over 40. I've got a kind of 5 ways to avoid the afternoon slump. There's lots of things on there that you can download. And that's the first place basically to start kind of seeing whether that's something that you feel is right for you, and whether you feel that I'm the right person to help you kind of make some changes. And so that would be where I would say, if someone said, how do I find out more about Sue? Just go to thesugarfreecoach.com and you'll see all the content and stuff.
Yeah.
You can follow my YouTube, I have a YouTube channel as well as my Instagram, which are both the Sugar Free Coach.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
yeah, and just, you know what, don't set yourself up for failure. Don't expect yourself to achieve too much too soon. Just focus on making those small, simple changes every single day. And once those have become habits, then move on to the next thing and the next thing. Don't be following all these influencers who say, you've got to do this. These influencers who say, oh, everyone's got 24 hours in the day or whatever it is. And you go, yeah, but you haven't got a business, you haven't got 3 kids, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and you're 24
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's not
Yeah.
real kind of thing. So
Yeah.
let's for those women who are working full time, who do have a family life, who are in their 40s and struggling with perimenopause, it's all very different when you get into your perimenopausal years, and the things that you used to do don't work anymore. So let's focus on doing the right things and making you feel good. And like I
Yeah.
say, taking those small steps that make you feel like you've achieved something, and don't
Yeah.
worry about what anybody else is doing. Don't let comparison be the thief of joy.
Yes. Yes. What a good quote to end on. Well, thank you so, so much for joining me, Sue. I will put all your links in the show notes so that people can find you. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I always love chatting to you. So it's been an absolute pleasure to do so today. Um, is there anything else you'd like to add
Oh,
before we
just
end
to
it?
say thank you so much for having me. I have really enjoyed that conversation. It's
Good.
great to chat. And
Yeah.
yeah, any questions, anyone, just drop me a message.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sue. I hope to see you soon. And everybody else, I'll speak to you next week. Bye.
Bye.